Hi, my name's T.G. Trooper, and with me today is Julia Stone, an author of psychological thrillers, I suppose.
Suspense.
Psychological suspense. A little bit of background on Julia. 40 years working as a consultant business psychologist, working in organisations around the world on people-related projects, e.g. culture, change, leadership, psychological assessment for roles/promotion, design of training/performance management, etc. In parallel with that, 25 years working part-time as a psychotherapist and coach, now focused on working with creatives on writing blocks, etc. I might need your help at some point on that. Not only that, but 20 years ago enrolled on a fine art degree, then ceramics diploma part-time as a mature student, now working part-time as a volunteer at the disabled centres teaching ceramics. Also the lead artist for a charity called Mortal and Strong, who create podcasts and use art to illustrate the stories of people suffering life-changing illnesses. Julie is here today to discuss her latest book, The Expert Witness. So, I have my clipboard, so let's start. How long have you been writing?
A long while. When we were kids, my mum really encouraged us to be creative, and whenever we went on a holiday, we wrote a family newspaper about events that happened. And we also wrote novels. Of course, I think most writers did, didn't they? You know, we were ripping off Enid Blyton and things like that. And when I did English O-level and A-level, and when I left school, I was either going to go into psychology or journalism. I had a place at college to study journalism if I failed my A-levels, and I just about scraped through. So I ended up being a psychologist.
Journalism, psychologist, kind of go hand in hand in a way. So what got you into writing fiction then?
It was a decision later in life. So I was approaching my 60th birthday, and I thought, it's actually now or never. If I don't do it, and I had a go actually. I'd written a few stories before, and I didn't really know anything about publishing. So when I won some prizes, I just assumed everybody won prizes, and just thought, well, that's nice. You know, and I got my book reviewed by a reviewing place. I can't even think of the name of the place. And they came back with some constructive feedback, and I just went, oh, great, put it in the cupboard. If I knew then what I know now. But so I applied to Faber Academy, which was a 6-month write your novel in 6 months course. Okay. And so it started from there, and that was a few years ago now.
Okay. This is only one of 3. So your 3 novels are psychological suspense. How does that differ from a thriller?
I think it's often said that psychological suspense is a why done it rather than a who done it.
Okay.
Okay, so it gets a lot. The psychological part of it is that it gets into the character's mindset, and you're spending a lot of time in their head. They're usually written first person. And another thing I think that makes the difference between a thriller and suspense is that, I've heard the quote, suspense builds slowly. So, I'm sure you've heard the anecdote about the Hitchcock anecdote about the bomb under the chair. And if it's a thriller, the bomb goes off and there's chaos. If it's suspense, the reader knows the bomb is there and is waiting for it to go off. And for me, that illustrates the difference.
Nice. Yeah, I'll nick that.
I'll hear it quoted somewhere.
You're a psychologist and a psychotherapist by background. How do you bring that into your novels?
I always start by profiling my characters before I write the novel. So I start off by finding an image of someone who looks a bit like they should be, and then I write a psychometric profile for them, because that's one of the things I used to do in my professional career. And so that's one thing, and then I can always check back that they're acting in character. And the other thing is that psychology is woven throughout. There's always an element of psychology in the novels I'm writing, quite a lot more in the most recent one.
Okay. In your new book, The Expert Witness, there's a lot about the psychology of memory and how it fails us. Tell me more about that.
I think some people think that memory works like almost like a recording, that when you play it back, that's what actually happened, but it's nothing like that. It's edited every time we replay it. So we look at a memory, and because we've thought about it in a particular way, we've added to it or subtracted to it, because humans like a narrative. They like things that fit their map of the world, and so we don't even know we're doing it. We're not trying to be deceitful or anything. We also add things into our memories. So if you're talking to a school friend about something that happened to you when you were both younger, if they give you a version of that event, without even knowing you're doing it, you might meld it in with your version, and suddenly it becomes a mix of the two. There's various different ways, and a lot of them are covered in the novel. But one of the things that I think is quite interesting, and a lot of people won't know, is that some people suffer, about 2% of the population have something called aphantasia. And what that basically means in simple language is that we, because I have it, can't visualise in our mind's eye. So when you read a character description, you might see that person as you're reading the description, or you read about a forest and you're there in the forest in your mind's eye. I don't. They're words on a page to me. And I only discovered this during lockdown when I was talking to my partner about a book he was reading, and he was saying, oh gosh, I feel a bit shaky having experienced all that. And I asked him to unpack that for me. I said, you actually see it happening? And I had no idea that people thought differently to me. Why would I know that? And in that regard. So and my lead character in this book has aphantasia. Now, how that impacts memory is that an aphantasik's memories are in words. So I cannot visualise my partner at all. Right. I cannot visualise anything. But I can describe him from what I've put into words about him. So it's just an interesting, we shouldn't assume that someone forms memory is the same.
Okay. What is the story of Expert Witness?
You're testing my memory now.
I need to get an expert witness.
I wish I was an expert on memory. So the lead character, Dr. Amanda Dunstan, has always wanted to be recognised for achievements, for what she's done in life, and she's, as a youngster, she was competing with her brother, who her parents adored, couldn't put a foot wrong. At college, she was always the +1 friend, the one that tagged along and hoped to be involved. So she always felt the outsider. And in her career as an academic at a university, she's passed over for promotion. So she takes early retirement and writes the book about memory, and particularly in relation to witness testimony, because that's her expertise. She's an expert witness in court cases. And after doing that, someone from her past comes back and reminds her of something she's chosen to forget. And it's an incident in their past that she barely remembers, but it went very badly for her friend, and she feels desperate to atone for what she did in the past, and consequently ends up down this rabbit hole, which I won't go into because you need to read the book.
Plot spoiler. This year you became writer in residence at Sudbury Arts Centre. That's the church, isn't it?
Yes, it's converted. It was St Paul's. It's not been a consecrated building for about 50 years.
Beautiful building.
It is.
So what does being a writer in residence entail?
Really, anything to do with reading and writing. So we had a book fair. You and 19 other authors took part. That was back in June. And the event managers were so happy with what we'd done, they've asked us to do another one later in the year. So we've got a date penciled in for November. I'm also running writing workshops to support good mental health. And in November, I think most of us have come across NaNoWriMo, National Novel Writing Month. We're going to do a Sudbury version, and people can come and sign up and get a little writing pack and come and go as they like, and with the target of writing this 2,000 words a day to get to a very rough draft of a novel at the end of the month.
Well, sometimes I can do 50 words in a day. Sometimes I could do more.
Exactly.
Writing to a target, I think, would be I
think some people find it very hard. But I think the idea of it is it's just get it down. don't polish it, and if you don't know what happens, just put square brackets, carry on. You know, just go for it so you've got something, because that first draft is usually very painful.
So, what writing related projects, apart from the Nano Writers Month, do you have on the horizon? Can we look forward to a fourth Psychological Suspense?
Yes, I'm hoping to finish the first draft during NaNoWriMo. Yes, it's this one's going to be about a woman who inherits a property from someone from her past, and everything is not as it seems. So I'll say no more than that.
Mystery.
It's another psychological suspense, and they're all standalone, so they can be read in any order.
Okay. Right. Okay. Any advice for aspiring authors?
I think one is to clarify your aspirations. If your goal is to be a best-selling author, I think that's great, absolutely great, and let's hope so. However, one also has to be aware of the facts, which is the average self-published author sells 100 copies and the average traditionally published author sells 300. So it's very sobering.
You have to be realistic.
Yes, you have to be realistic, and so maybe sort of have that as a dream, and also have some other sort of achievements. Finishing the novel is a great achievement, let's face it. And also I think my other advice would be develop a thick skin, and patience. If you're going to go for traditional publishing, be aware that first stage is finding an agent. That can take a year more, and then the agent's got to sell it to the publisher, and that can take time, and then it won't be out that year, it'll be out the year after. So you've got to be very patient if you're going the traditional route, and very savvy with how to do self-publishing as well, and promotion.
Oh, promotion and marketing. Every author I know goes, marketing. Why can't I just write the book and have somebody else do all that? What is your favourite and least favourite parts of being a writer?
I really don't like the first draft. It's just so painful for me, because I kind of know what I want, and I usually, when you get to the midpoint where you go, well, I've told the story, what more do you want? But I absolutely love editing. I really do. I know some people don't like the editing, but I love it because it's polishing the story and making it all the words all pretty. And I don't like social media. I do it, but I'm not good. It's not a natural thing to me, but I really do enjoy meeting readers and meeting other writers and all the nice things around being a writer.
Sort of bit of a community.
That's
persecuted community of writers.
Supporting each other.
Fighting against the relentless tide of celebrity nonsense.
Oh my God, don't.
So, most importantly, where can people buy your books?
It's available obviously on Amazon, where all books are. At the moment, I'm trying, Castle Priory, my publisher, are trying to get it into Gardeners, or investigating getting it into Gardeners, which means it will then be available in other bookshops like Waterstones and so on. But at the moment, Amazon. And it's on Kindle Unlimited. Okay.
That's good. There will be a link in the description. So, thank you, Julia Stone.
Thank you. It's a pleasure.